Hi, I'm Vishal Menon and welcome to Film Companion South. In late 2018, I had the most surreal experience of watching the re-release of Ajith's Amarkalam in the same Srinivasa theatre where it was shot. Here's my account to explain why I call this a surreal experience. And also, is Saran's 1999 film one of the most meta cinemas in Tamil? Let's find out. It's not uncommon for older films to be re-released in Chennai. MGR and Sivaji Ganeshan films hit screens even today, perhaps for the 100th time. But there was something amusing about seeing 1999's Amarkalam listed on the ticket booking app. No, it wasn't that I doubted the film's ability to still pull crowds, knowing very well the importance of Amarkalam in Ajith's ascent to stardom. It was the theatre where it was playing that set the listing apart. Westmambalam Srinivasa Theatre is old and rundown, and it survives almost entirely on re-releases. But that's not it. Amarkalam is a film that is set, for the most part, in Srinivasa Theatre. Wouldn't it be trippy to watch a film in the same theatre where much of it was shot? Isn't it a bit like watching Cinema Paradiso in Cinema Paradiso? So I rushed to the theatre before the lone 11:30 am show to just geek out. The theatre and its surroundings though didn't seem to share my enthusiasm. Tickets hadn't yet gone on sale and the projectionist on a cigarette break double-checked with me to make sure I was at the right place. I need at least 15 people to start the show, he warned. Go have a cup of tea and come back. We'll start by 11:45 if some more people come. I decided to skip tea and walk around the theatre instead, counting every man that walked in, hoping it would add to the magic number. It was 11:40 and there were still just 4 of us. I looked worriedly at the projectionist, but he was busy evaluating the strength of my umbrella. And that's when it started to rain. Heavily. Half a dozen men who had assembled outside the tea stall adjacent to the theatre ran in. Tickets, all classes at under ₹50, make the theatre affordable even if it's just to wait out the rains. The maintenance staff too is extremely generous. Smoking within the premises and outside food don't seem to be an issue for them. The count added up to 11 now. The projectionist walked up the stairs. An old school bell went off and the show began. It was a late Thala Deepavali miracle. The theatre might not be fitted with the latest Dolby Atmos system, but the atmosphere was incredible. The auditorium with broken seats and wobbly ceiling fans really added to the experience of watching a 20-year-old film. And when the film began, with Ajith being credited as Lucky Star and Shalini as Love Star, my teleportation to 1999 was complete. I could almost hear Ricky Martin playing. My memory of Amarkalam wasn't perfect. I had watched it many years ago and felt it would be nice to see if the film had aged well. And if it hadn't, there was always Bharatwaj's great songs to keep me entertained. 2 minutes in, when the Love Star went, I was sold. I noticed how seamlessly this song transitions from a nature-loving heroine intro song to a beat-heavy theme befitting the entry of Ajith. He gets an intro fight where he beats up a bunch of partying teenage yuppies. And as we wait for him to lay his final punch, the fight cuts away to an action scene from one of MGR's old films. And guess where that film was playing according to the screenplay? I was now watching a film, Amarkalam, in Srinivasa Theatre, where the screen was showing a scene with another film, the MGR one, playing in Srinivasa Theatre. The Srinivasa Theatre shown in Amarkalam looks far more cheerful with neon lights and an actual crowd though. Srinivasa is where small-time gangster Vasu stays, also providing protection to the theatre owner. It's also where he stashes the yuppies he kidnaps so he can broker deals by blackmail. Vasu is shown sleeping on a pile of posters, with Tevar Magan being his bedsheet. A scene later, it's Kamal Hassan's Nayagan that's playing when Raghuvaran makes an ominous entry in slow motion and there's a scuffle between him and Damu. Later, Damu sees Raghuvaran hugging the theatre owner when he says, which Raghuvaran was, and the fourth wall was broken again. When Vasu returns, he notices that Tulasidas has taken his place on that pile of posters. A drunk Vasu asks,
Thambi kenda ura?
The bedsheet is not Tevar Magan anymore. It is now Rajinikanth's 1984 film Thambi Kenda Ur. But this again is common in Tamil cinema. A Rajini punch dialogue here or a clever Kamal Hassan reference there in any film is just a safe way to appease fans of all stars. The film played on. It's Annamalai that's playing in Srinivasa now. So the crew, along with Vasu, head out to get the reels of the Rajinikanth starrer. but the climax reel alone goes missing as Mohana drives away with it. They start the show anyway, waiting for Damu to return with the climax reel. But when they cut to the theatre to show people watching Annamalai, they don't use a cult scene or a shot where Rajini makes a dashing entry just for fan appeasement. Instead, Amarkalam shows a bit from the song and that exact moment where Rajini pauses to look at the audience for them to complete the line with, of course, Khushbu. The fourth wall is thus broken again. Now this couldn't have been a coincidence. Come to think of it, isn't Sondha Kurlal Pada about Shalini wanting to sing in her own voice? That too while acknowledging playback singers of the time. Is there more to Amarkalam than meets the eye? I sat up and started watching with refreshed energy. In the following scenes, it's interesting to see how the film builds tension using our knowledge of another film. Like a ticking time bomb, we understand how important it is for Vasu to return with the climax reel because we know how far into Annamalai the audiences in Srinivasa have reached. And later, Mohana's parents used the listing of Annamalai to track down Vasu. But if there were any more doubts about Amarkalam's meta ambitions, it's cleared when the song Kalam Kalikalam starts playing to the steps of Lawrence Master. It begins with Lawrence and his team of extras dancing in front of the theatre to celebrate Vinayaka Chaturthi. But a minute later, the group runs into the theatre and jumps into the film that's playing there, joining a bunch of female extras dressed in yellow. Later, the same dancers from the movie pop out of the film screen to dance in front of Srinivasa until it's time for them to go back into their movie. It's also interesting to see how many of the scenes are staged within the auditorium. As I was watching the scene where Vinu Chakravarti confronts Vasu for ruining himself by drinking, I realized that I was sitting in that exact seat in which Chakravarti sits in the film. And later, when Mohana confesses her love to Vasu in front of the screen in Srinivasa, it eclipsed my experience of watching them in the same theatre. For a moment, it's like they were there in sweat and blood, with the movie turning into a live performance. Even in the scene before, when Mohana tries out the theatre's fortune teller machine, her prediction reads,
நீங்கள் காதலுக்கு மரியாதை கொடுப்பதற்காகவே பிறந்தவர்.
Didn't Shalini act in a movie called Kadalukku Maryade? Amarkalam's self-reference doesn't stop there. In a chat between Tulsidas and Vasu, the former convinces the latter to act like he's in love with Mohana. Tulsidas says,
நீ பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கிறது வில்லன் வேஷம். ஹீரோவா நடிக்கிறியா?
And that's the point that sets off a transformation in Vasu's character. He's no longer the anti-hero of this film. He even romances Mohana with the lovely Unnoda Vada song a scene later. It's not just the theatre setting or the dialogues that make Amarkalam a meta film. It's the music too. Observe the scene in which Mohana discusses her innermost feelings for Vasu with her blind friend Charlie. It's a deep confession, and naturally the background score uses violence to convey her feelings like in most films. But when the camera moves from right to left, we're shown a group of violinists playing the Amarkalam theme. With one movement of the camera, see how beautifully the violins move from non-diegetic to diegetic music. And later, when Mohana confronts Vasu for acting like he's in love with her, Nadigan is now playing in the theatre, and her dialogue goes, By this point, I realized that my 35 rupee ticket had paid for itself many times over. And when a heartbroken Vasu watches Ek Duje Ke Liye alone in the theatre to understand the true meaning of love, my mind was blown. Do you even remember what Kamal Hassan's name was in the film? It was Vasu. As I left Srinivasa Theatre after I watched the film, I realized that this had been one of my life's most surreal and certainly the weirdest movie experience. It's not to say that Amarkalam suddenly makes Saran or Kubrick, but it certainly makes Amarkalam a film made with a lot of love and an incredible amount of thought. One last one. Doesn't Amarkalam also mean first class? Like the theatre seating?